everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today I've got another Inktober video ready for you. Now with this video I actually have 7 artworks to show you, so 7 little speed painty ones. I did have, I believe it was 5 last time, but that's because I was at my boyfriend's place and I can't really record when I'm there. So I have a few ballpoint pen drawings and I will probably show them off to you in the little flip through at the end, because then you've got some, like, you know, ones that are exclusive to that video that you can look forward to. But anyways, the prompt for this day was crooked. Now with crooked, the first thing I thought was like a witch with a crooked nose type thing. But then I thought, you know, that's probably too common, like a lot of people are going to think of that. So I decided to go with a crooked tree. Even though that is kind of done a lot as well. But, oh well, I like it. I decided to have it a sort of fall tree because, well, everyone is going about fall at the moment. Even though it's not autumn here in Australia, it's actually spring. But Halloween's here, and I decided to do a little Halloween pumpkins as well. And yeah, I thought it was pretty cute. I used my Crayola markers this time because I didn't use my Copics, because I remember last time I kind of had issues with that. Now for my next artwork, the prompt was Screech. Now the first thing I think of when I hear Screech is the Pokemon move Screech, and most prominently Onyx using Screech against Pikachu. So I could not resist and I just had to draw that. I'm actually using my Inktense pencil at the moment, and I really wanted to try this out because it's Inktober and it may look like it's a watercolor pencil, but it's actually not. Some people actually call it a watercolor pencil, and that's actually incorrect because it's ink. And the reason it's very different is because once it dries, it's waterproof. And yeah, I wanted to try that out because I actually haven't really used them much in videos here. And yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I have a limited amount of pencils of them, so I decided to go with a dark indigo kind of colour, because that's sort of inky. It's got a sort of inky feel to me. And yeah, it was actually really fun. I like to use those pencils, and I might actually try them for like an illustration in the future. I'm not sure. Now, after I got all of the tones that I wanted down on the paper, I decided to go back in with my gel pen and just add little highlights here and there, you know, on the Onyx, and a lot of it on the actual beam coming out of his mouth, the Screech, because I wanted to look a bit more intense. I'm not sure, but anyways, it turned out pretty cool looking, and I'm fairly happy with it. The next day, the prompt was gigantic, and I wanted to try and think outside of the box. My first thought was like a person, and there was like a giant, but that's way too easy for me, so I wanted to mix it up a little bit. So there's actually a normal sized human and a little ant. And I know that kind of feels like it's the opposite, but I really wanted to portray it in the point of view of the ant. So in fact, it is an ant and a huge person. So yeah, the little girl is actually gigantic in the point of view of the ant. And yeah, I thought that this artwork was pretty cute. I mainly used my multiliners for it, and then I also used a bit of ink wash for the darker parts, like her hair and her eyes, and a little bit of shadow beneath. I kept it mostly black and white, except for the little blushies and on her cheeks and on her nose and her hand, and I think it looks pretty cute. And here is my next artwork. The prompt for it was run, and now this artwork's a little bit morbid. I decided to draw a little mouse or a rat, I think it's a rat, and a snake behind, and obviously the little mouse is, you know, trying to run away from it. He is terrified out of his little mind. But yeah, the snake is probably not anatomically correct. I didn't really use a reference, I kind of just drew what I thought would look cool. But yeah. After I got in the line work down, I decided to use some of my ink diluted with a little bit of water, just to add some shadows in the background, and yeah, I thought it put a neat touch on it. After I was complete with that, I decided to actually use some undiluted ink to put a little black border around, because I thought it would frame it nicely. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. And don't worry if you're wondering, the little rat got away. Now the next day, the prompt was shattered, and I decided to do a different kind of drawing for this one. Basically, the story behind it is that she's got a mask up, and it's shattering, and like you can sort of see her emotions below, beneath the surface, and she herself is shattered. So yeah, I don't know why, I thought I would try and do like a sort of meaningful type thing. I guess it's very symbolic of me. I normally don't do those kinds of artworks, but I thought it would be fun to give it a go. I decided to use ink wash for this as well, and yeah, it turned out alright, I think. Now I actually decided myself to use a little bit of my Liquitex Gold metallic ink, and I really love this stuff. I think it gives it a good sheen, and it kind of, I don't know, just gives it a little bit extra. Now for the background, I decided to go with some undiluted ink, just to give it a bit of darkness to it, just to try and up the contrast a little bit. And I think it turned out alright. Now if anyone's wondering, these artworks, they're not as refined as my usual works, and that's because I usually like to spend a few days on each artwork to try and get it the best. So obviously one drawing a day is going to be a little bit more rushed. Obviously I'm trying my best to make it look good, but yeah, I'm sure you guys will understand. Now this artwork has a little bit of explaining to do. The prompt was teeming, and now when I looked up the word teeming, it meant the definition is to be full of or swarming. So I decided to do a drawing of something that actually happened to me that day, and the story is basically my boyfriend bought a new drone, and he loves this thing completely. And that day, actually, we were flying it around, and a swarm of angry bees actually tried to attack his drone. And that seems like it's fake, but it's true. And he actually has the video footage of that. So yeah, there was a whole bunch of bees swarming around this thing trying to kill it. And it didn't really turn out that well for them. Let's just say, those propellers spin pretty fast. Anyways, I decided to use my gold inks for this as well, and I think it does add a lot of cool, like, I don't know, just it's just so shiny and bright, and I love those inks. So yeah, that was a bit of a funny story to go along with this artwork. I know it needed a bit of explaining, but yeah. Now the next day, the prompt was fierce. So I actually decided to draw a fierce leopard. And I don't know why, I decided to use my Crayola markers. Now, I know some people will say, oh, that's not ink, but a lot of people do use markers for Inktober, alright? I've been doing a lot of black and white drawings. I'm allowed to do a coloured one every now and then. But yeah, I actually really like how these Crayola markers actually work on this paper. They don't work on all papers. Sometimes they eat up the paper a bit, but this paper is, I don't know, it just turns out really nicely. It actually works better on this paper than my alcohol markers do. Yeah, and I actually had a lot of fun with this drawing. He's very scary looking, and I actually really like that. And yeah, I decided to colour in the background a nice grey colour, and then after that I went over with my white gel pen to do little details like the whiskers and little white hairs and stuff. And yeah, it was actually really fun. Not a bad drawing for Crayola markers, if I say so myself. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like and comment below what you think and which one is your favourite one. It's a hard decision for me to pick my favorites. I think I would have to say the ant one and probably the bee drone one. The leopard comes up close third. And yeah, make sure you hit like, subscribe, all that stuff, and I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone!